Hello everybody and welcome to the CSI Shocks Paved Sprint Series presented by Pivotal Propane, final round of the season. And we roll into Irwindale Speedway to finish it off. 40 laps for the feature under the setting guy here at Irwindale. It should be another good race. My name is Ryan Jones, and alongside me Gary Weaver behind the scenes. We've got Sean Ambrose using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. You'll see everything tonight live right here on the Global SimRacing channel. And why don't we take a little bit of a closer look at the racetrack with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Irwindale. Heir to the proud tradition of short track racing in the Los Angeles Basin, Irwindale Speedway opened its gates in 1999 and hasn't looked back since. Irwindale is a clean and modern facility filled with amenities for drivers, crews, fans, and sponsors alike. The facility features banked paved half-mile and third-mile ovals and even a figure eight tossed into the middle. Progressive banking is the name of the game at Irwindale, and it was really one of the first tracks to get it right. 6 degrees closest to the line at the bottom, 9 degrees in the middle, and 12 way up top dusting that wall off. It's built in such a way that rolling between the banking is smooth and actually an easy transition, giving you, in holding the steering wheel, plenty of places to run and some added stability. Day or night, the most speed can often be made closest to the walls at Irwindale. In the sunlight, the shadows that cast off of the billboards in 1 and 2 can actually keep that part of the track cooler than the rest. And you know, as a race car driver, cool tracks equals fast speed. But even at night, you can run anywhere here at Irwindale. For a short track, Irwindale is actually a very wide speedway, but don't let that fool you. Turns 1 and 3 beg for you to overdrive the entry. The smart drivers will balance that send it part of their brain and get the entries right. Rubbing, bumping, banging, beating, all of the short track phrases that we are used to on the surface can and most likely will be used today. This has been our guide to Irwindale. Enjoy the show.
Just about 5 minutes left in practice here at Irwindale Speedway. And Gary, what's the lowdown on the track that we got there?
Well, Irwindale Speedway over here in California. It's, of course, obviously an oval. You're using the outer oval instead of the inner oval here for this afternoon or for this evening. And the turns will be banked from 6 to 12 degrees at a half mile, 0.805 kilometers. And, well, this track primarily runs the top side. And, well, the only other track that comes to mind for me that primarily runs the top side and has a little dashed line up there as well is, of course, Darlington on the other side of the United States. So, really, essentially a bit of flattery here at Irwindale.
Yeah, indeed. And in terms of our details for the race, top 12 in qualifying, going to go straight through to the A main. Fixed setups, of course. 2 heats listed, but judging by our entry numbers here, we're going to get 1 heat, and the top 4 from that will advance through to the A main. It is, of course, round 5 of 5 in this series. So this is the final opportunity for drivers to get a win in the car, the quarter the size of a cup car, but more power than a cup car.
Right now we're just watching pretty much everyone make their rounds here at Irwindale as the practice time continues to wind down. Taking a look at Rodney Gardner, who's going to be almost on the defensive side, and that kind of close racing is something that we're going to be seeing a lot. Great crossover as well used, and very well. That was actually good timing right there for that shot. That's how close contact was there in turns 3 and 4. So it's akin really just from what we've been seeing, just close racing, and a lot of crossovers can be possible here.
Yeah, potentially some dirt track style slide jobs as well here, Gary. You mentioned they run across the top of the racetrack. If you're getting an exit off one of the corners, you can throw it down at the bottom and slide up in front of them for the next 2 corners, but you've got to be careful of that exit if you do try to pull off such a maneuver. 30 seconds left to go in practice. You don't want to be doing that in the race.
Might be only slightly important to keep the wheels on the ground just in case to, of course, get the maximum speed possible. But all in all, everyone having fun aside from whoever just hit the wall on the outside. That was Hunter Crum, unfortunately. A lot of bad luck for some drivers here at the end of practice.
Checkered flag will fly and we'll head into qualifying. Going to be a race to put yourself in the top 12 spots. Everyone else will have to work their way in after that in the heat race. Although it looks like we've got 15 drivers entered here, Gary, so in theory, it would go straight through to the feature, but saw last week that doesn't really happen.
Yeah, we'll see how everything plays out here this evening. So should be a little bit more than one driver as we're taking currently a look at Tyler Chalk. He's going to set, or sorry, Trey Osborne rather. Similar schemes from what I'm seeing, but regardless, Tyler Chalk does finish up his first lap, but so far he takes provisional pole, and immediately, right when I say that, Garrett Andrews takes over the pole position. We're going to be seeing that fastest lap notification pop up a few more times, more than likely, throughout the next 4 minutes.
Look at the margin between himself and Osborne there. Oh, nope. Immediately goes quicker again as Andrews to 15.984. Osborne eclipses him with an 8.82.
So far, a tenth of a second faster. Tyler Chalk has completed his run. Garrett Andrews again continues to go faster. Trey Osborne was 8/1000ths of a second slower, then gets the pole, provisional pole for the time being. Taking a look at Colton Collins now. He's starting his, or finishes up his first lap and will try again, currently sitting 12th in the standings.
In that magic number 12 spot, he's going to be hoping no one eclipses him as he eclipses his previous best lap time with a 6.41. That will keep him in 12th place, so not enough to improve. He gets knocked down to 13th as Axum props up ahead of him.
And we'll see what everyone else comes across as for their times. Tracy Lepasic goes from 10th to 3rd with that qualifying lap, and it's still on the final lap this time by. So we'll see if Lepasic can improve, maybe get provisional pole. We'll see off turn number 4 for the final time, sliding across, and it unfortunately will not count, possibly from contact with the outside wall.
Chance Crum has ended up at the top of the sheets. Tight between himself all the way back to 4th, 3/4 of a 10th covering them. Crum, Osborne, Lepasic, and Andrews. In fact, less than a second covering the whole field.
And we'll see Austin Nye, the only driver who has yet to set a qualifying time. And actually, no, right when I say that, Austin Nye is actually out on track. So just working through, trying to get something set, and does, of course. 11th place for the time being. And we'll try to continue that improvement. And again, by 0.2 of a second, improves all the way up to 6th. And that's the blanket right there, 11th to 6th. And that's in the span of 0.2. My goodness, everyone, again, like you mentioned, Ryan, is that everyone's all within a second of each other. And I mean, just like that, we see how close it is.
He will end up in 6th. He'll be going straight through to the feature, regardless of what happens with this heat race. Chance Crum still circulating out there, doing laps, getting himself ready to go for this evening's event. Just waiting for the qualifying timer to tick down, and then we can get ready to go racing. Of course, there are some prizes up for grabs as well. Thank you to Pivotal Propane, who sorry, not Pivotal Propane, PitLogic, who are offering up a Fast Time Award and a Hard Charger Award, $7 in Visa gift cards between those two. They are the most comprehensive chassis and shock setup application on the market. So thank you to those guys for their sponsorship throughout the course of the season. And thank you to Chalk Sticks Torsion Bars as well for being our qualifying sponsor right from the beginning to the end here of the 5-week calendar.
Well, 20 seconds remaining in qualifying. At this point, we're all just waiting, but for some reason, Tyler Chalk and Emerson Axum have decided to apparently retired for the time being. They have not yet come back for some reason, so we'll see if they do choose to come back. But at this point, I think we may be having, unfortunately, another one-car heat race. We'll see momentarily as qualifying ends.
Yep. Three
Two-car heat
cars.
race.
Yeah, so Emerson Axum should be on the pole, but then Jerry Brewer, Colton Collins. So we'll see how this one unfolds then. As long as they keep it on the track, they should be good to go through the feature.
Yeah, 2 pace laps, top 2 advance, and well, this point's really just on deciding who's going to round out those final 2 positions. So I'm pretty sure that, of course, 1 extra position may not seem like much. It's, in a sense, inside versus outside. Be kind of surprised where usually you'd want to start on the inside, move your way up to the outside, but usually, I'm pretty sure for some of these guys, they'd love to start on the outside rather than the inside lane.
It's going to be the last race for a little while here. Presented by CSI Shocks, unfortunately, as a result of going back racing in the not too distant future. Don't get a KT steering service for our heat details for heat number 1 here. Pretty straightforward, isn't it, Gary? 15 laps, still on the racetrack, and you're going through. We're going to come to the green flag here. Colton Collins will get us underway. And as easy as that, he almost loses it down into turn 1, actually. Had a big tank slapper on there.
This, of course, is giving these 2 drivers a little bit more extra practice in a sense, and of course gives them a little bit of a look, and everyone else really a little bit of a look on how these cars will handle. And well, Jerry Brewer not exactly putting up much of a challenge. I think he just wants to really pretty much just get to the end. He was 0.6 of a second slower last time at the start-finish line.
It looks like a pretty big disparity between these 2 guys in terms of their pace. In qualifying, they were about just a tick over 1/10 of a second apart in terms of overall lap time, but at the moment, we are seeing Collins lap about 0.2 quicker than him. 16.59 places 16.63, so he comes back that lap to his Brewer.
Collins starting to slow down a little bit, and by a lot, as he hits the outside wall in turns 3 and 4, a little bit too close for comfort. So in a sense, well, Irwindale's version of the Darlington Stripe, but still, even after that, Collins was able to set the fastest lap time of the race so far.
So it'd be the Irwindale Stripe.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And the issue being, you don't really get to get a stripe on these cars because those wheels stick out beyond the bodywork, don't they? Which makes racing a little bit more difficult because you have that danger of interlocking tires with another competitor that you normally have in, say, like an Indy car, so to speak, don't you?
Yeah, it's that risk that's not only, of course, with other drivers, but also the wall, because, well, when a tire hits the outside wall, well, I mean, we all know what happens. It's the unfortunate event of just going flying up in the air sometimes, depending on whether or not you're lucky, especially with the front end, where that may or may not be the most important part of the car, because, well, you have to use that to turn, and if you damage that, well, you're not really going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So Jerry Brewer, unfortunately, struggling as the laps continue to wind down, but I'm pretty sure at this point he's just trying to at least bring it home and get used to it as he hits the outside wall a little bit in turn 2, but manages to hang on to it. You can also see on that left front, those brake discs are absolutely glowing like no tomorrow.
He's about 4 seconds back now, and he's struggling, actually. He's running down the bottom of the racetrack through these corners. Collins has got his car and his line sorted out. Using the middle of the racetrack on entry, sliding up to the top for the exit of the corner.
More of a reverse diamond in a sense, because usually at some tracks you'd enter high, swing low, and then roll right back up to the top side. Collins is doing the of course, the reverse of that. So trying to carry momentum, slide up, and then get even more and get a little bit extra speed off the corner by exiting down, then just repeating that process over and over.
Only going to have to do it 2 more times when it hits the line here before the end of the heat race. And then they'll have a 5-minute warm-up before we go into the feature.
Well, Colson Collins I was about to say, was probably confident, and then scraped the outside wall there. Close moment.
Over a 6-second margin now, back to Cherry Brewer. As he hits the final lap and takes that white flag. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. Your heat race winner going to be Colton Collins. Heading through to the feature with a convincing win. Cherry Brewer will come through as well. And they'll both line up at the back of the field for your main event. Thank you to Pivotal Propane bringing your A-main details to you. 40-lap distance. Setups listed as open, but they are fixed. Cautions are on, so we will see some safety car interference at some point today if we do get a spinner or a crash. And it's going to be a 15-car field.
And really the only time that we won't be getting a yellow flag is if these drivers do, say on the back straightaway, spin below that white line off the racing surface. So we'll see exactly how it will, everyone will really, use the extremely wide track, at least with these cars, to their advantage here for this evening.
Use your eye on then for this one, Gary. Seems like usual suspects up at the top, but anyone going to be able to break through? Obviously, Chance, Crum, Osborne, Lepazic are at the front all the time. What about some of the guys behind them? Who do you think might be able to get through?
Taking again, another look at the starting grid. Well, we've had Garrett Andrews. I believe he finished P2 or P3 last week, or ran into some bad luck, but regardless, Andrews was up there. He was competitive, and then, well, unfortunately, just wasn't entirely the case. But Andrews, though, regardless, looking to try and capitalize and get at least a podium finish once again here for this week. He was P4 in qualifying by double checking here, just by 0.0, maybe 8 seconds by the looks of it. So maybe 8/1000ths of a second slower. So Andrews is going to be very competitive with Lepazic for the start of this race. Look to see those two battling side by side.
We'll keep an eye on that one then as we go forward. Then get a Sharp Advantage safety products as well. Who specialize in building the most professional custom fit high impact C inserts that are designed to be used in a standard aluminum or carbon seat chosen from the manufacturer of your choice. For being another one of the fantastic sponsors throughout the course of the season. Without any of them, this broadcast would not be possible.
Well, for the time being, just looking through, everyone's still continuing to set their lap times, using this practice to their advantage. Of course, as much as possible, keeping an eye, of course, on their right side tires, double checking to see, okay, I can be this close to the wall. I can't be, at this point, I have to brake maybe a little bit earlier, turn in here. It's a whole lot that goes into really just, more than just turning left, of course.
Yeah, it's that argument that people say oval racing is easy, Gary, but there's a lot of nuance that goes into it, doesn't there?
Yeah, it's a lot. There's many disciplines of oval racing as well. Say, Well, we'll just go with, of course, the most obvious example, say Daytona 500, where, well, you think it's just holding the throttle and turning left, and no, it really isn't. It's a lot. You have to work with your, pretty much work with whoever you want to prefer to push you or push somebody else, especially in iRacing's case, where you have to think, okay, so this person is great in this portion, great at pushing. So it's a lot to think about. What lines to run, fuel strategy as well, shockingly enough. Tires, especially where super speedways are, at least from my experience, more wearing on the right side tires, and well, it's usually most ovals here on the iRacing service.
Not to mention the steering inputs can be so fine as well. And you've really got to be on your toes as 414 car there, just lost it out of the final corner. 20 seconds left under the night sky here at Irwindale Speedway. And we will go racing one final time in the CSI Shocks Paved Sprint Series. There we go, checkered flag of falls over the field. And in just a moment, we can show you your starting grid for this A main. 40 laps ahead of us. A 40-minute time limit, but don't see us getting to that limit. Here's how they line up. Front row is Trent Crum and Trey Osborne. Tracy Lepasic and Garrett Andrews will line up behind them. Barrett Polhemus, Austin Nye off the third row. Ronnie Gardner and Hunter Crum occupy row 4. Justin Brester and Tyler Chalk running out your top 10.
And then the remainder of your 15 car field is going to be Matt Roberts, Zachary Bosanic, Colton Collins, Jerry Brewer, and what would be Emerson Axum, but unfortunately he's not able to start for tonight.
It's a shame for him. Just waiting for one driver to grid up before we roll off behind the iRacing.com pace car. We'll get 2 laps behind it here, and in fact that's the iRacing.com pace truck, isn't it? We'll get 2 laps under it here before we let them loose with all, what is it, 800 horsepower they've got?
I like to think 850 for some odd reason, but definitely in the ballpark.
Compare that to the 550 the Cup cars use at most tracks, and 750 at the short and road course tracks is a very impressive number, and answers a lot of the questions as to why we see so many spins, especially coming off the corners when they try to apply that throttle. Very easy for the rear end to kick out. They're very light cars, these as well, so there's not much keeping them glued to the racetrack.
Well, we'll see how everyone handles this track. Of course, the throttle application off the corner, you have to ease into the throttle, and that's going to be something to really keep an eye on and keep in mind here off corner exit as the pace truck pulls off.
All right, let's go racing one last time in the Paved Sprint Series. Green flag flies to signal the start of the race, and it's a good jump for Chance Crum. Gets up to the top of the racetrack. Trey Osborne switches down low, but can't quite find that momentum as they're down to 3 and 4.
So far, so good for Chance Crum. Osborne is looking to the inside, but he'll manage to hang on to that position for now. Tracy Lepasic, however, definitely challenging Garrett Andrews. As Andrews passes by up on the top side, he'll get into the podium spot for 3rd.
There's a spinner.
Caution, Jerry Brewer.
Is the replay. What happened to him? Just lost it off the exit of the corner, locked it down, and around he went. So, under caution early on. Good start for Chance Crum, wasn't it? Got the jump and managed to get up to the preferred line up top before they even reached turn 1.
It's absolutely incredible. That's why Chance Crum has still been running pretty much podium spots throughout the entire season once you start to get the hang of the cars, and as well as for Garrett Andrews, who got the pass done just before the caution came out as well. So Andrews now up into position number 3. Pasek shoved down to P4 for the time being, but at the moment, I'm pretty sure Pasek is wondering, or at least thinking, well, you know what? You think you can beat me for the time being, but I qualified higher than you, so I know I have more speed.
Got to be patient with these cars, even though it's a very short race, and you can't afford to make a mistake early that puts you a lap down like that from the number 14, spins, and now is caught a lap off the pace. Should get the lights out on the pace truck. In fact, they are out, so we're going to go back racing this time by.
Actually, they're still active.
Oh, nope, they're still on. Next time.
One of these times, they'll have to get off the track eventually. Unless the pace truck wants to race, which would be entertaining in its own right, actually, now that I think about it. Now the lights go out. Pace truck is off. Chance Crum in control. He'll bring the field to the green flag as Trey Osborne follows him directly behind Andrews, already leaving the inside lane open for Tracy Lepasek through turns 1 and 2. Oh, and there goes Tracy Lepasek spinning to the inside in the 99. He will be off the racetrack, though, and that means, luckily for him, well, not exactly unluckily for him, but caution not going to come out.
At the front, look at this. Osborne and Crum running wheel to wheel. Osborne trying to work it down the low side to fight himself away into the lead. But Crum is holding Faas up on the high side. And he's getting the exits of the corners off the... He's getting the strong exit off the corner, which is helping him to get some run down the straight.
Chance Crum continues to pull away as just directly behind them. Andrews attempts to hold off Austin Nye. Hunter Crum setting the fastest lap as Nye looks down to the inside lane.
On board with Hunter Crum. Look at the wheel work you've got to put into these cars. They've got a really big steering rack. Has to give it quite a bit of a twist on the old reel before he can get it straightened out to the exit. See the he just hits the fence there. It doesn't cost him too much, but I was going to say, you can see the different lines they're all taking, Gary.
Yeah, it's a great onboard shot as well, just to see how much wheel work is being put into that. It looks like a kind of like a little bit of a design, like stern design that you see in the bus, kind of, for the most part, with how the interior wheel is designed for steering. It's quite interesting in its own right. Riding on board Garrett Andrews now looking back at Austin Nye, who not too long ago was actually looking to the inside of Andrews, but right now Austin Nye running right in the tire tracks and directly behind Andrews, pressuring him for off turn number 2 for position number 3.
Ooh, that's a poor exit for... Who was that there? Just off the racetrack off the exit is someone. Like, they want to get down to their inside. Unfortunately, as we look to the front, the caution comes out on lap 16. Yellow flag for the second time today. Gary, did you catch who it was?
Yeah, it's a 9 of Justin Brester, just a quick lone spin off turn 4. So it's going to be coming around through turns 1 and 2. So far, so good. Looked to be a little bit of a bobble here, but We'll see Brester move down to the inside and loses any and all grip, catches it for the most part at least, keeps it off the wall, but caution, of course, was called at that point as we ride on board.
And there is Brester now, unfortunately.
Doesn't seem to be caught a lap down, so Brester got a little bit lucky in a sense, and at least great reaction time for him to turn it immediately back to the right, and instead of just risking a damaged car, keeps it off the wall and keeps it on the inside lane as well. So nothing too bad for Justin Brester.
Hey, remember, if you want to stay up to date with all the action here on the Global Sim Racing channel, we've got plenty of great stuff coming up from plenty of other series. You can find it on our social media, and also live timings for all our races at gsrc.tv too, so you can see where your favourite driver is in the field at any moment and what lap times they're running, whether they're falling or climbing up and down the order.
Technology is wonderful sometimes.
Sometimes.
It depends for the most part. Depends sometimes, but I mean, yeah, on the bright side, don't even have to just have it like just listen to the broadcast and just watch the timing board. Kind of, you know, hope for the best. Makes it a little bit more intense, I think.
All right, pace truck's off. Let's go back racing with just under half race distance to go. Chance Crumb looking to fend off Osborne once again. Backs him up quite a while and then pins up. Thought of it, Osborne goes right with a fantastic jump for both your race leaders. Austin Nye trying to fend off Andrews, who almost stood up into him. They are stacked up back there.
All them shuffling around for position as Osborne looks to the inside continuously on Chance Crumb. We're going to be having a great shot here as we just see everyone scrambling for their best line that they're most comfortable with. But Trey Osborne is continuing to run the inside lane, trying to get by Chance Crumb, but Crumb has that advantage on the outside exit, and he'll clear Trey Osborne off turn number 4.
On board with Osborne now, looking up across the top left of that chassis as he tries to work the middle of the racetrack, trying to get the best of both worlds with a shorter route around the track and a good exit that you get when you're up top. It's not quite working at the moment. Needs Crumb to make a mistake and then he'll be right there to pounce. Caution comes out again though. Ooh, Osborne almost lost it there.
Oh, Roberts having a tumble, number 28, off in turns 3 and 4, just caught the end of that, and Roberts had possibly one of the worst rides on the back straightaway. Should be off turn 2 this time.
Here it is.
Oh.
Oh, that's pretty unlucky there. Car in front got into the bit of a concertina effect, and he was the one that got caught out.
On the bright side, landed on his wheels, but on the not so bright side, I'm pretty sure that more than likely, unfortunately, had absolutely destroyed his engine and resulted in him taking a tow. And he might actually retire, so he's not in the car at the moment.
So we'll get a restart with just over 10 laps to go, and ooh.
How much I bet Chance Crumb is just urging everyone to actually hold off on that, because while we see positions gained and positions lost, Zachary Bozanik snuck his way up from 12th to 6th now, plus 6 positions. And, well, Lepasic, unfortunately, the one with a lot bad luck, minus 10 positions. But so far, hard charger for this race is Bozanic.
Yeah, Bozanic has come up. Bozanic has come up 6 spots since the start of this one. Done a pretty good job. Austin Nye has done pretty well. Up to 3rd on the back step of the podium now, after starting from 6th. Lights out on the iRacing.com pace truck as it comes across the line this time. Chance Crum, for not the first time this season, is having to fend off restart after restart after restart.
I'm pretty sure he's hoping.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's just hoping for a caution.
This will be the last one. Either way, hey, let's crank it up for this restart. No, there's a caution.
79, Barrett Palhimas.
They were 3 wide for a moment, and he's been cleaned up from the left-hand side. And that cleaned up a couple more cars as well. Someone.
That's Rodney Gardner.
Some decent air time.
Well, everyone a little bit too eager. Unfortunately for Rodney Gardner, may have hit the throttle just a bit too much, and that loosened up the back end of the car, but everyone relatively very eager on that restart. Unfortunately, everything had just as quickly as it started has just been slowed down, unfortunately.
This should be our final caution now, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, because this will take us to about 5 or so laps to go. By the time we hit that throttle again.
I'm pretty sure Chance Crum is just, again, I'm sure he's enjoying this to an extent. I'm pretty sure he loves just being able to easily keep the lead, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure he's also thinking, let me just run this under green so I can finish this a little bit faster, other than your local outside neighborhood street speeds at 45 miles per hour. Looking through the field again, Bozanic had actually snuck another position up, so he's now plus 7 positions as he sits in the 5th place position for this restart. I'm pretty sure he'd like to keep it that way as the lights go out. 4-lap shootout when we go green.
4 laps for Chance Crum to go lights to flag again and hope that he doesn't fall victim to the late race curse that has shocked so many drivers over the course of sim and real racing. Pace truck is off. Let's go racing one last time this season. They pin that throttle and Osborne goes right with him, gets alongside him down to turn number 1. Side by side for the lead of the race.
Osborne trying to get that lead as soon as possible. He challenged Crum earlier. This is going to bring Austin Nye into this battle, just directly behind them in case anything happens. 3 to go as they cross the line. Osborne trying to dive down, trying to slide up in front of Crum, but it's not going to work.
No!
As Osborne, huge crash, and that's going to be it. Collects Austin Nye. Oh, no.
Well, he slid up all right.
Maybe a bit too much, unfortunately, but Chance Crum can now breathe a sigh of relief.
was a nasty tank slapper. He corrected it, and the car gripped and hooked right into that fence, and poor old Austin Nye had absolutely nowhere to go. Does mean that we are going to finish this one under caution, and Chance Crum is going to complete a clean sweep of this one. Pole position every lap, and the race win. Man from the Northwest going to get it done once again in the Pivotal Propane Paved Sprint Series. Behind the iRacing.com pace truck, he's going to pick up another race win. Those are some low-quality fireworks.
Chance Crum with a high-quality win here this evening, and that sigh of relief, Chance Crum absolutely dominant throughout.
Here's the replay here, and it started with Osborne just losing it off the exit of the corner. Down the bottom, tries to get on that throttle too early. Car starts to slide, and as he corrects it, it grips and hooks back to the right.
Well, hang on everyone for who may or may not have motion sickness. Saves it and then doesn't.
Austin Knight being completely unsighted up until the car was in front of him now, which is bad news for him. Let's go to a break here on the Global SimRacing channel. We'll come back with your results and interviews right here. Welcome back to the Global SimRacing channel to the CSI Shocks Paved Sprint Series presented by Pivotal Propane. End of the race, end of the season. These are your results, the end of it all. Chance Crum winning in the end over Garrett Andrews. Zachary Bozanich clawing his way up onto the podium after starting from 12th. Hunter Crum and Justin Brestow in top 5. Colton Collins, Tracy Lepasic and Trey Osborne 6th, 7th and 8th ahead of Nye and 9th, and those two, Osborne and Nye, extremely unlucky after that crash throughout the final caution after running 2nd and 3rd for most of it. Ronnie Gardner home in 10th.
Well, Matt Roberts, unfortunately, not going to be able to finish as he finishes 11th. Trey Brewer in 12th, also running into some bad luck. Same with Barrett Balhemus. And Tyler Chalk and Emerson Axum not able to start as they are placed in 14th and 15th.
Let's have a chat to our race winner. Chance Crum gets it done once again here end of the season to round it off with a pretty convincing win.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely a fun one. Irwindale is a fun track. Lots of places to move around and find some grip. So it was cool to come here and race with these guys. And Trey definitely put a lot of pressure on me. So that was tough and a lot of fun racing with him there.
Yeah, talk us through that battle with Osborne there. He was pretty much challenging you all race long, but he never seemed to be able to get enough of a run to sort of actually get ahead of you.
Yeah, it just started out. I was doing a really poor job on the restarts. I should have maybe practiced it or something beforehand, but couldn't really decide what was best. And he was getting runs on me, and then he was really making that lower line work. Especially on exit, he'd get right up next to me. Luckily, I had the momentum on the outside to squeak on by, but I wanted to get to a long run there and see where things could stack up. But he was definitely challenging me hard, and it was a lot of fun to battle with him there.
Obviously, the cautions make life a whole lot more difficult. You mentioned that obviously restarts weren't fantastic and you were hoping for a bit of a long run. Do you feel like you may have been able to pull away from him if we'd gone green for a bit longer?
I'm not sure. I know for sure that my car felt a lot better on the long run. It took a little bit to come in, and I'm not really sure where he was at with things. It would have been interesting to see. I know he's definitely quick at all these tracks we've gone to. So it would have been interesting to see, but, it is what it is. And happy we had a little bit of luck on our side and be able to take home the win.
Hey, fantastic job on that victory. And who gets it done for you to help you get those checkered flags?
Yeah, I want to give a big thank you to Capstone Plastering, Airvan Moving, CSI Shocks, Joe's Racing Products, PitLogic, the Kinza Racing Sim Team. Thank you to my teammates, Hunter and Justin. It was a lot of fun racing this season, as well as our friend Tristan, who helped us practice and come and hang out during the races. Thank you to my dad for his setup help. It was a good work with him there. And thank you to you guys and CSI Shocks for putting this league on. It was definitely a fun one.
Being a lot of fun to watch and to cover as well. Thank you for joining us, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Gary, your final thoughts on the race and on the season before we wrap things up?
Well, the race tonight was pretty much as exciting as it was the whole season, using a car that's not too often used on iRacing anymore. But of course, people like these can always make these races interesting and bring back that little bit of community that loves the asphalt sprint cars, especially after coming from the dirt sprint cars as well. So not only giving just the dirt side some love, but bringing back not exactly a classic, but more of a very well famous older car here from the service.
Well, we'll see what we go racing in next time we go racing under the CSI Shocks banner. Thank you to our title sponsor, Pivotal Propane, for their support of the season, and all of the other sponsors as well who helped to get things done, as well as all the companies who provide the software and the hardware for these broadcasts to make it possible. You can see the screen, how you can get a hold of all of them, including how to get a hold of Junior Londe for some wonderful music. Thanks to the team with me today, Gary and Sean. If you want to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. You can see the screen on what other races we've got coming up right here on our channel, live and free, most importantly, each and every day of the week. We've got something coming up for you, so check them out, mark them down, and you can catch it. From all of us here at the booth, thanks for joining us, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.